So hello Arjun, welcome to Bollywood Global. And how's everything going?
Hi,
The new
thanks.
unlock phase.
Uh, going pretty overwhelming, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
busy as hell, but very
Mm-hmm.
good, very happy, very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So you have been nominated for the best performance by an actor at the International Emmy Awards this
Yes.
year for Made in Heaven.
Yes.
So I want to know that at the time when you were working on this show, did you anticipate it to go miles in terms of both the response and the recognition for your work and the show itself?
No, I did not at all. See, the thing is, while we were making it, I knew that we were making a competent product. I knew it
Mm-hmm.
would be a high quality product, just by virtue of the team that was involved, production house, the cast, the filmmakers involved, the script itself, which was fantastic. So you know that you're doing something good, but that it will have this overwhelming a response, like across, that it will transcend age, race, gender, nationality, everything to and resonate with people across the board like this. I think that's something that can't be predicted. It's it's just
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, that's it. I don't think anybody expected that this kind of reaction, and I certainly did not expect what has just happened with me at all.
So first of all, congratulations on that front, and I hope you get many more awards, and your work speaks for yourself a lot.
Thank you.
So
Thanks so much.
moving on, your association with Farhan and Zoya, it's a long-standing one. You have known them and worked with them for over a decade now.
Don't mind my cat. Huh.
No, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So your association with them is a pretty long one. Then be it Farhan's short film Positive or Zoya's directorial debut
Yes.
Luck by Chance, and of course now the more
Yeah.
recent Made in Heaven.
Yeah.
How did this association or the relationship as fellow artists start, and how it has flourished over the years or evolved?
Well, I met Zoya and Farhan back in 2005 or 2006.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was around the time that I was working on Rang De Basanti as an assistant director,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, we met through common friends, and they've just been extremely supportive. From the word go. Like at the time, I was just like an AD about to start acting, and Zoya was like amazing. She was so helpful back then, even in like हम अपना पहला portfolio खिंचाते हैं, तो Zoya helped me pick my photos from that first portfolio and asked me and told me, you send these ones out, don't send this one, aisa. And gave me the numbers of all the casting directors I needed at the time. Um, and then of course, yeah, absolutely. I was in the first short film that Zoya wrote, Migration. I was
Mm-hmm.
in the first short film Farhan directed. I was in Zoya's first feature. I was in the first ad campaign that Zoya wrote for Godrej with Amir Khan, and I'm in their first series. And no, even Zoya's even called me for her films, which I didn't end up doing. So the association is definitely long, and there's definitely some kind of lucky star that I'm born under. To have a filmmaker like Zoya, first of all, believe in
Mm-hmm.
me and think of me again and again, and to want me again and again in her projects. It's too special. I can't even put words to it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. But, you have earlier exhibited your finesse, in bringing out the nuances of homosexual characters, be it Meera
Yeah.
Nayar's Migration or Oni's I Am. So,
Yeah.
were these the two projects that sort of helped Zoya and Nitya place their confidence in you that you would pull off Karan Mehra with ease in mid?
Uh, mm, maybe to some extent. Maybe to
Mm-hmm.
some extent they might have thought that I've done it before and I've done it well enough, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe they felt that there are not that many actors that would be willing to take this risk
Mm-hmm.
again and again. Um, yeah, but I think more than anything, yeah, I'm sure it inspired their confidence, but it is certainly not why they chose me. They chose me on the basis of the person I am and my acting ability, and I know for a fact that they had actually decided on me before I even got called for my first audition. This
Mm-hmm.
is what Zoya tells me,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so it's really beautiful, to be thought about that way. that when a character is freshly written, the filmmakers think of you, before they start even meeting actors.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So, but I don't know. I really can't say what exactly inspired the confidence in them that I'd be able to pull this off. I'll say one thing, that Zoya has an immense ability. Like, she has such a keen eye for casting, and she has an ability to really, even if you're a non-actor, she will find that one quality about you that she can use for her performance, and
Mhm.
she will cast you and just get that from you if she wants just that.
Mhm.
So she's very special that way. So certainly in me, she definitely saw some qualities that she wanted Karan Mehra to have, and I
Mhm.
think that's really what made them cast me. You
Mhm.
know,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And being a homosexual in a fairly aggressive society like ours, it brings in a lot of inner turmoil, complexes, and of course, a lot of times trauma too. So, for such characters who may be so far off from your real life, how do you manage to explore into these arenas and then bring out the qualities of those characters, maybe the pain and the suffering? So, do you like draw from your personal, unrelated personal experiences and amplify the pain, or is it something that you imagine and create at the moment?
No, I personally very much reach into my personal experience. I do
Mm-hmm.
believe that acting is something that only so much you can be taught or trained. I feel that the most important experience, that the most important thing we can have under our belt is experience. So the more life has thrown at you, the better an opportunity it is to experience that, to retain those experiences and memories, and then be able to draw upon them to portray another character truthfully someday. Like, of course, I've not been through so many of the things that Karan Mehra went through in the show. But how do I portray it realistically? I have to find some parallels in my own life. I have to find places where I might have felt maybe not the exact same emotion, but something close enough. Maybe not to the same intensity, but something close enough. So I think I have to reach into my own memory bank to find the right thing and amplify it, and for that amplification, I don't know, there are different ways and different tools, like there's memory exercises, there's music, there are tools you can use.
Mm-hmm.
But it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the memories will come flooding, and then the performance you give will really blow your own mind.
Mm-hmm.
And but then sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes you have to fake it. And then sometimes it also happens कि आपने एकदम असली किया लेकिन लोगों को लगा कि आपने नकली किया. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it happens कि you weren't feeling it, but the audience thinks कि वाह यार ये तो बहुत अच्छा हुआ. So yeah, I don't know. Each time is different,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the fun of it. Also, it's interesting to see. Okay, how will this work, and will it work? And I hope, yeah, I hope it works.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And you spoke about tools that help you amplify and reach out to your memory bank. So may I say that at such times you switch Jesse Grotowski's method of reaching out to your creative reservoir, wherein you
Yeah.
tap into the reservoir and then manifest the and translate the impulses into the physical manifestations of speech and body language. Is
Yeah,
this something?
that's absolutely, absolutely. I, in fact, trained a little bit in the method. I went to the Lee Strasberg Institute,
Mm-hmm.
where they train you in Stanislavski's method,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked wonders for me. But at the same time, I'll say about training that, again, I'm not such a purist or any like, oh no, yehi mera method hai, yehi hai.
Mm-hmm.
You just never know what works. I trained in that also. I went and I did another short course in the Meisner technique also, which is something completely different. It's not at all reaching into your memory. It is purely reacting to what is in front of you there and then. It's only based on external stimuli. And this other method is based only on your internal process. So, but you can just, that's the magic. You can just pick and choose from everything. And I think that's what I tend to do. ऐसा कुछ फिक्स कभी नहीं होता कि मेरे लिए ये this will work for me. I think it just depends. I read a scene. If it requires something, if it requires me to go to like a really deep place, I don't know. मैं वहीं पर decide करता हूँ. Okay, I think I'm gonna try this, and then I disappear. You know? Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, looking at this, may I say that, actors are avid psychological time travelers, because more than often it requires you to, to go travel back in time and reach out and dig out from your lived experiences, or many times it requires you to go into the future and create something that you may not have experienced so far. So, will it be right to
Absolutely.
call?
I think absolutely. I've never heard it put that way before, but now that you have put it that way, absolutely. I think I'm a time traveler. Yeah. It is. It's true. It's true. Sometimes you're ahead of the time. Sometimes you're behind it. Yeah. I think, and sometimes, and which is all contradictory, because what an actor is really supposed to be is in the moment.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's an interesting way to put it. Definitely.
Okay. And since you mentioned that you have trained from Lee Strasberg Institute and also from Barry Jones Institute. Now, Lee Strasberg is regarded as the father of method acting, but actually, Stanislavski was the one who came up with this system of method acting, to which Lee Strasberg further added dimensions, keeping the American film market and sensibilities in mind, and that's how method acting came into existence. So, having learned and imbibed that American school of method acting, does it cause hindrance or friction when you implement it in the Indian context in front of the Indian audience?
No, not at all. Not at all. Because emotions are not, they don't have a language barrier, and the things we are talking about are in a metaphysical kind of plane. There's no divisions here of age, race, sex, gender, nationality, caste. Kuch nahi hai. As long because and that's the beauty. It's also like, it's what a language we get to speak, that removes all divisions. What a wow. I mean, I haven't thought about this in a while, but that's a beautiful thought, that in this time, in this extremely divisive time that we're living in, where everything that you're consuming from everywhere is just trying to divide you. I think it becomes a great responsibility for an actor to continue to speak the language of unity. Yeah.
Okay. And since you spoke about unity and love in these divisive times, how would you describe the relationship of an actor and empathy? How enriching or how close knitted it is?
Oh my God, I love your questions, I have to say.
Thank you.
I think it can't exist without it. I think an actor can't exist without a level of empathy. Because that's what it is. That's what it is. You gotta be able to. What is an empath? An empath is actually a person who feels other people's emotions too strongly, first and foremost. And I mean, that's an actor's job profile, man. So I mean, imagine how closely linked it is. And unless an actor has empathy, how are you going to reach into the mind of this human that you're choosing to portray? You have to be able to step into his shoes, see from his perspective, feel things as he feels them, and not just feel it, but present it to the audience. So actually, beyond just being an empath, it's also like you're the medium, you're the channel, you're the because at the end of it, your character can be anything. It can be good, bad, evil, ugly, but my responsibility is to present the truth of that character to my audience, so that they may be able to empathize with him too. Whether they do or not is completely separate. Like, just supposing I'm playing like a senseless murderer in a film, but from my side, my job still has to be to present my perspective as realistically as I can. So maybe somewhere someone will be able to see that theek hai, he was like this, but I see his perspective. You know what I mean? it doesn't have to be correct. You don't have to agree with the perspective. You just have to be able to see it. That's all. Yeah. So empathy is really important for an actor.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you have suffered a loss quite early in life, the loss of a parent. Now, you said that the tragedy didn't emotionally hit you until you grew up. Now, the teen years are the times when we live our life sans any responsibility. Of course, we struggle a lot in our teen years because there are hormonal changes to grapple with the world around us. But the real challenges or the problems, if I could say so, they start when we plunge into the adulthood because there are bills to pay, there are overheads, there are expenses, and we have to manage a plethora of relationships, be it at work or in our personal lives. So was this the reason that the adulthood compounded the pain, and was it the reason that it hit you much later in life?
Yeah, I think it started hitting me only. Look, if you go through a loss at a young age, at the time, I don't think anyone knows how to make too much sense of it. It's just a loss. It's just a void that's been created, and it's impossible to make sense of it. It's just all there is coping. Then you just live with it, and you cope, and you don't know how you do it. There's even you're not too clear on what the process is. I think it's only later in life when you have the emotional intelligence to actually sit and analyze who you are and why you are who you are and where you come from, what makes you this way. I think it's only then that you start to really realize like how what might have happened with you really affected you, and then you can start to maybe address it or release it however you see fit. But yeah, I think first and foremost, you got to be able to make sense of it. There are scores of people that go through their lives never presenting a question like this to themselves. उनको कुछ पता ही नहीं है कि बस उनकी लाइफ चल रही है, हो रहा है जो हो रहा है, and I think it is a great privilege also, to be honest, to be in a position where you can think about your life like this and ponder. Because honestly speaking, a lot of life and existence is just dealing with survival, So you can't even blame them. But yeah, I think again, as artists, it becomes that responsibility also falls on you. I think if your eyes are slightly open, however open they are, then through your art and through your work, you should try to open other people's eyes too. You should try to get them to, learn through your experience or whatever. I don't know. You've got to be able to share. You've got to be able to share that somehow. Share the pain. That's all I'm doing, isn't it? I think through Karan, all I did was share pain.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So, being an artist, how does art heal you or help you fill that void? Not just this one. It could be some other experience also that may be close to your heart and maybe kind of disturbing you at the moment.
I think my answer to this is exactly in the last question. It can only heal you by sharing the pain. And that's it. वही तो बोल रहा हूँ. That's what it was, right? That's as I spoke about Fireflies.
Yeah.
That film healed me because I shared my pain on screen. I got to share it. And some people do it through their writing, their music, their whatever, all these. There's so many beautiful art forms in the world. I do think artists are healers. I think that is the first responsibility of artists. We are healers. And we should just be left to that. We should be looked at that way, I think. But not when it gets completely contaminated by commerce, of course. It's okay to an extent. I understand commerce is important just to be able to keep making art. But when commerce is all that determines art, then all of this is lost. Then we're just like running a circus, nothing else. Yeah.
Okay. So since you spoke of commerce, I would like to venture into this area that this is capitalism, as they say. It may bring competition, but it also spoils the environment around us, kind of poisons the environment around us. Aggressive capitalism, what it does, it sells you. No matter if it doesn't matter if you need it or not. The
Yeah,
motto of capitalism is to sell, and that's the
correct.
reason the competition is there. There are 100 news channels, could be 50 shopping malls on a street, and different buying
Yeah,
options in terms of fabric, apparels, or anything like that. And since
yeah.
you spoke about contamination of art, so I would like to know the stage that we are in currently as the society, as the Indian society, wherein we see IPL, which is a walking machinery of an aggressive capitalism, or something like English Premier League. Uh, how do you see the journey henceforth for art, for cinema, or for theater at large?
We wow. Unfortunately, I think art and artists and everything is under massive threat right now.
Mhm,
Um, we're in danger of losing all our liberties of of presenting our art as we
mhm,
want to. Uh, that's where we are right now. Actually, we're at a very scary place,
mhm,
and I think without getting into why we're here or because of who we're here or what the hell, let's just focus on what we can do. And I think
mhm,
it's really important for all the artists and the industry itself to stand up for itself,
mhm,
stand up for each other. If anything that's said about one of us is being said about all of us, we gotta stand together. We gotta
mhm,
fight for our right
mhm,
to create the art that we want to create. We need the audience's support too in this fight. Instead
mhm.
of right now we're in a situation where a large majority of the, I mean, not maybe not majority or whatever, but definitely a large part of the audience is like throwing the bricks at us. Anything like there's just like look at the massive trolling, look at the hate that's existing. Like, man, we're just here trying to entertain you. You know, we're not doing anything else. We just
Yeah.
want to entertain you and share some emotions and
Mhm,
have you feel better about your own lives, and that's it. Just
mhm,
walk hand in hand together. But we're being
mhm.
divided and controlled and ruled by some very rogue elements. So just like, yeah, really, it's really a deciding time for
Mhm,
art and artists, and um, let's see. It remains to be seen what
mhm,
direction we go in exactly.
mhm.
Yeah,
And as you mentioned that we are in a currently very scary place wherein on one hand there's a malicious campaign being run against the entire film
yeah,
fraternity.
yeah,
Despite it being one of the highest tax-paying industries of this country, and
yeah,
of course, it also is a global soft power that brings India recognition.
yeah,
For example, with your work, with International Emmy Awards,
yeah,
gives India a recognition on the global platform.
yeah,
So, do you
yeah.
think that this whole campaign or the whole mudslinging that's being done at Bollywood is it because it has the power to influence the impressionable young minds of the society?
Absolutely, yes. I think like Bollywood is films are such a powerful tool for like to influence masses that to have control over this medium
Mhm,
would be desirable for anybody who wishes to have the control. You know,
mhm,
and then of course like influence the kind of films that are made and spread personal or political agenda, whatever. All that is very desirable. So partly that because it
mhm,
it 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 has that power, and secondly because it's just such a soft target and such a easy look. Yeah, let's just put this in perspective that
mhm,
whatever's going on with Bollywood is really affecting a really small fraction of people.
mhm,
Okay, like when someone is called in for questioning, it's affecting only that person
mhm,
and their management and their family and friends or whatever.
mhm.
My God, there are issues going on in the country right now which are affecting millions and millions
Yeah.
of people. So, I mean, really, I think we need to be focusing on those, you
Mhm,
know. Uh, yeah, I think like Bollywood is being focused upon just so that वो सब कोई देखे ना,
Mhm.
you know.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what.
Cool. And lastly, I would want to know if there are some updates on the second season of Made in Heaven. Is it on the completion or in the post production? How's it?
Yeah, I mean, we were going to be going on the floors in May. We would have been like deep into shooting right now, but unfortunately, we all hit this massive roadblock. Well, I'm hearing some murmurs and some rumors. No official announcement has been made even to me yet, so I'm not sure. I know that scripts exist, and obviously, since we were about to go on the floors, but I've not read them, and I'm just waiting to hear myself. I think this question, honestly, Amazon or Excel will be much better equipped to answer. Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. So with that, we have reached the end of this conversation. I would like to know if there's something that I may have missed asking as a question and you would have loved to answer. So please feel free to talk about it.
No, nothing. This was a really good talk. Thank you. I really enjoyed your questions.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored. So on that note, thank you so much for talking to us, Arjun, and I wish you all the best. And may you receive many more awards and keep impressing audience with your work.
I hope so. Thank you. Thanks, Akshay.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.